Good evening, everyone. First of all, welcome to everyone who has come here. Today, we'll be having a spiritual discussion on the spiritual dilemmas and material problems that we have in our life. And to answer those problems, we have with us expert on spiritual wisdom, His Grace Krishnarchan Prabhuji, who will be answering our doubts and dilemmas. So, before we start, a brief introduction of Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji has been associated with ISKCON for 25 years. And he has preached in countries like America, South Africa, and currently India. And currently he is leading the preaching in MP, especially in cities like Indore, Sagar, and Jabalpur. So here's to you, Prabhuji. So my first question to you, Prabhuji, is, so every time I go to ISKCON temple, my relatives ask me that there is a VIP culture in ISKCON and in major temples of the country. But don't you think that this is contradictory to the values of equality, and shouldn't the VIPs be treated like the ordinary persons?
Yeah. So, good question. Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me for this talk, for this podcast.
Our pleasure.
And this is a very important discussion because only spirituality can give solutions to all our material problems. And today, we can try to understand how and why spirituality is necessary and how it helps us solve these various types of problems in life. So, so regarding your question on why there is a VIP culture apparently in various temples in India. Well, VIP culture is not really supported in the Vedic scriptures, and even in ISKCON temples also everyone is free to have darshan. But especially on festival days like Janmashtami, when there is a huge crowd, it is necessary to give some special treatment to those who are leaders, those who are like some kind of political leaders or VIPs. But the important thing to note is that what treatment is given in a temple, right? That doesn't necessarily determine how God sees you, right? How the temple administration is treating you is not necessarily a sign of your spiritual advancement, or even how God is seeing you. Like generally we see from front, who is in the front. But God sees differently. God sees who is eager for his darshan, who is eager for his service. So, someone who may be standing in line for hours, not necessarily that he is getting less mercy than someone who is, who has a quick darshan, right? So, so we should see in terms of spiritual benefit rather than just the facilities, or someone may get some extra puja or extra prasad or something. So that is not necessarily a sign of spiritual blessing, right? In fact, I would say that those who stand in line and wait for longer, they get more blessings because they were able to spend that time in the service of God. Whereas someone may be thinking that I've saved the time by having quick darshan, but that time which you saved may be wasted somewhere else. Rather, this person who is standing in line is using his time, thinking about God, right? By standing in line, who is getting more mercy. So we should see in terms of how God sees rather than how the temple administration. Sometimes it is necessary. It is what do you say? It becomes a kind of essential to treat some VIPs in a certain way. They expect, So, but that is not necessarily a sign of their spiritual advancement or discrimination. It is not discrimination on the part of the temple management, because those who do more seva, it is sometimes obligatory to give them some special facilities. Those who have done special seva, you need to treat them little differently. They expect, and it is also necessary for in the administrative point of view. But that is not necessarily a sign of spiritual advancement.
Another question that Prabhuji comes in mind when we talk of ISKCON. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is urged to fight when he gets the lesson of Bhagavad Gita, but we see usually devotees are chanting and they are dancing on the streets. So, don't you think they should devote their time more in contributing to the societies by actively contributing in the social issues?
Very good question. So, according to Gita, one should work, but at the same time, one should also have time to pray. In Gita, Lord Krishna says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. That means you think of me, Krishna says, at the same time you fight, right? So you do both. So, yes, in ISKCON, devotees chant, but it's not that they only chant; they also work, right? In fact, they work more than those who are materialistic people.
So they're doing.
Yes, they are doing both. They are both doing both simultaneously. And on the other hand, those who are like workaholics, those who only work, work and work. We should know that nobody can work all the time. Even those who are workaholics, they need time for recreation. They need time for entertainment, and experiencing life. So they spend that time, in various other activities, whether it is going to clubs, or whether they are whatever types of enjoyment, entertainment, recreation. So they are spending their time there. So instead of spending time there, we are spending that time, we are getting that recreation in spirituality. But it is not that we are only chanting and not working. Our ISKCON founder Acharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada used to say, I am at the age of 80, I am working much more than what you can do in your 20s. So we are chanting, but we are also working. In fact, chanting is not really stopping your work. It is in fact only giving you the motivation to work more efficiently and more, in the right direction. Yeah. So that is so. Therefore, spirituality doesn't teach you to be lazy. Doesn't encourage you to be lazy or irresponsible.
Okay. So we have our audience with us. So if there is any question in the audience for Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, sometimes humility is considered as weakness. So, how to be firm and humble at the same time?
Okay. Good question. Very often asked that humility is considered to be weakness. In fact, the urge to react when you are, threatened or when you are attacked, we always have the urge to react. In fact, that urge to react is a weakness. And a strong person doesn't have the need to react to every apparent threat or apparent reversal in life. So humility gives you the strength to withstand any kind of attack, and you don't have the need to or react to that. So humility is not weakness, humility is strength. Yes. And someone who becomes reactive whenever there is a small provocation, he is a weak person. Someone incites you and you become angry. So is that strength or weakness? That is weakness, because you can't control your emotions, and you have an obsession, you have a insecurity where you feel that I need to react to something. But a humble person doesn't have to react, doesn't have to respond to every provocation. Rather, he uses his energy in doing what he wants to do, in doing what is right and pursuing goals in life. Right? So humility is not weakness, rather it is strength. But that does not mean that you let others exploit you. You don't have to react, but at the same time you can take the necessary steps to safeguard yourself from the threats that are being caused by others. So and do what you want to do. You don't need to tell everyone what you want to do. You can do it without having to respond to someone, but at the same time you should take the necessary steps to safeguard yourself without becoming reactive. So that is humility. Humility doesn't mean that you let others trample you. It means that you don't have to respond unnecessarily. but at the same time you can act firmly. Where you have to, take strong decisions, you take strong decisions. Okay.
Next question, Prabhuji, that we have is, as India is developing economically, we have a lot of material progress that we are like seeing in our country. So how can India ensure that we do not lose our spiritual identity and at the same time embrace the material progress that is coming with economic development?
Yeah. So along with economic development, we should also be rooted in our original values or our culture, because without that, what happens is material advancement or material prosperity, it causes a kind of intoxication, and to be free from that, two things. One is be rooted in your culture, be rooted in your spiritual practices strongly, and the other thing is, we should use this material prosperity only for the ultimate achievement, ultimate goal of life, to achieving the ultimate goal of life, but not become obsessed with those material comforts and material pleasures. So that is the difference between Indian idea, the Indian Vedic idea of spirituality, the Vedic idea of economic growth, and the Western idea. The Western idea of economic growth is you make money and enjoy, right? And you work in the weekdays and spend it all in the weekends just for enjoyment. But whereas the Indian idea of spirituality is, you make wealth, you create wealth, and you utilize it, for the right cause. So don't let those material, that prosperity or that wealth become an obsession, or drive you to just material enjoyments. So rather use it for the right purpose.
So Prabhuji, as we have seen that due to this like material progress, we have seen that both parents are working and they're not able to give time to their children, and due to that children don't have proper education, the proper values that should be inculcated in them, that's not there, and that we are seeing in the children. What kind of parenting these working class parents should offer to their children so that we have both values and at the same time they are managing their profession?
Thank you, very good question. So as we see nowadays, the kids have very little resilience. They are not able to face any kind of failure or any kind of reversals in life. It's because of nowadays there is this the parents are not able to be strict and discipline their children. They are kind of pampering their children. That's what we see. And the moment the child becomes little upset or unhappy, parents want to do anything to make him happy. So that is not really healthy. Good parenting is not about pampering the children, not about giving them whatever they want, but rather to discipline them. The discipline again doesn't mean you should become overly harsh or kind of too much strict. But there has to be some level of strictness, and they have to be taught how to be disciplined, how to value the opportunities that they are getting in life, and if they are going wrong, they should be disciplined. They should be taught, and if necessary, there have to be some strict stern action also taken. So then they will understand the value of what they are getting in life. Otherwise, they take things for granted, and once those things don't come in life, then they become totally intolerant. So the virtues of tolerance, empathy, and humility, respect, all these things will be have to be trained from childhood. So all these things, first of all, the parents should have. That's where the spirituality helps them. When they practice spirituality, they themselves inculcate these qualities, and then they'll be able to inculcate those qualities in their children.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Maybe now we can have a question from the audience.
Okay, so Prabhuji, I have one question that
Like nowadays, many Hindu-phobic ads are being popped out in social media, like Turani official did for Radha and Krishna. So these things are happening. So what is the cause behind this thing, and how spirituality addresses this issue?
Very good question. It's not Hindu phobia, it is hate for Hindus, I would say, because phobia means fear. People are not afraid of Hindus because Hindus are, by nature, very kind of non-aggressive and and very gentle, sober kind of people. Unless they are, of course, and if they are attacked, they may react. But it has been seen that Hindus are not like kind of aggressive towards other communities unless they are threatened. That's a fact historically, and that is proven by the fact that even in a Hindu majority country like India, the minorities are thriving and they are growing, right? So yeah, Hindus are not aggressive, so therefore they don't create fear, but it's more like Hindu hate rather than Hindu phobia. And this Hindu hate is, why it is there, that is, a different question. But how to deal with it? Just by being strong. You practice your religion. You be proud of your religion. Don't be shy, to wear tilak or, to, practice or, externally and internally. Don't be shy. Be proud of your culture and practice it properly. And it also not just externally but also internalize the teachings and follow your religion. Be very, the real Hindu. Try to be a real Hindu, a good Hindu. And that means by following the scriptures that that we are taught. So yeah, by doing that, when you are internally strong, then you don't have to feel shy. Like say in some other religions, they are not like shy. Like say for example, they are not shy in wearing burqa, or they are not shy in wearing their particular attire. That is a good thing that we also have to learn and take inspiration from. So, but whereas if we don't practice our own religion, if we don't even before practicing, at least we should know what are the teachings of the Gita, what is the teaching of the Vedas. So for that we need to actually practice or attend this kind of spiritual discourses or spiritual programs. First learn what is spirituality, practice it, and be bold, be strong in practicing your own religion. That again doesn't mean that you should hate others. You respect others for what they are, but you be deeply rooted in your own faith and culture, and that is how we can counter this kind of attacks. And if anything, if there is something offensive, speak out. Don't feel shy to speak. That is another problem with Hindus, is that not everyone, but generally it is seen that we don't even react when we are attacked. When our faith is attacked, when our devatas, devi devatas are attacked, or they are criticized, or this kind of things happen, we are silent. We should protest. When there is something wrong, something offensive, it doesn't mean we should be silent. We should be strong. We should be vocal about it, and not just being vocal when there is an attack, but also practice your own religion strongly.
So, Prabhuji, my next follow-up question is similar to this one. We have seen that in India, minorities are generally thriving, but in the external countries, as you have talked about, like what happened in Bangladesh, minorities are generally deteriorating. Their population is declining. So, do you think this kind of situation we can face in India as Hindus, and what should be our mindset if this kind of situation, God forbid, happens in India?
Yeah, true. The current situation is Bangladesh. In Bangladesh is really concerning. I mean, it's really unthinkable. The way they are. They want to ban ISKCON. ISKCON is an organization in Bangladesh which has, during the time of crisis, during the war with Pakistan, and many other such situations, ISKCON has distributed free prasadam for thousands of people every day. Those who are like, affected by the war and affected by so many things, even during recent COVID pandemic. ISKCON has, not only given prasadam and tried to do so many relief activities, and all over the world there's not a single incident where, ISKCON has engaged in any type of terrorist activity, and they want to label ISKCON as a fundamentalist terrorist organization just because one person has spoken against the atrocities that have happened recently. So that's very, very unfortunate. And yes, we have to be very strong, very vocal about it. We should protest it. And and the question is how we can prevent such things from happening. Yeah, we can prevent such things by being internally strong. There is no other way. Hinduism traditionally, or Vedic culture, has been tolerant and respectful to various, faith systems, and we have accommodated everyone. But that doesn't mean that because we are accommodative and we are tolerant, if we are attacked, we still remain tolerant. No, we should not. So we should, protest. We should, if necessary, take whatever steps are required. That doesn't mean we break the law, but what I mean to say is we should, in a lawful manner, in a legal manner, and in a sober and sensitive manner, but we should also be strong and in taking the necessary action, taking the necessary steps, and we should be united. जैसे बोलते हैं ना, बटेंगे तो कटेंगे, right? So you should be united, and unless you are united, if you are united, then nobody can touch you. We can take this lesson from Israel, although it's a very small country with a very hardly a population equal to one of the cities of India, right? But because they are united and they are strongly rooted in their practice, and they are they're not aggressive. I don't believe that they are aggressive. They only are aggressive when they are attacked, right? So that's how we should also try to be, right? Practice your religion strongly, be united, and be vocal when you are attacked.
That's a wonderful lesson, Prabhuji. So moving ahead, there's another question which is very famous. There is a very famous memes that floats on the internet. That is, when we say to people that money can't buy happiness, and they tell us that no, but money can buy so and so things, and that can give you happiness. So where is the line where happiness can be achieved beyond these material objects, and what's your opinion regarding?
Yeah, well, there are two types of happiness according to Gita. Of course, there are three according to three gunas: sattva, rajo, and tamo. But to keep it simple, there are two broad types of happiness. One that is sensual, or that is coming from the senses, which is very flickering, right? Which is very temporary, flickering. And the other happiness is something that is internal, which is in the heart, not in the senses, but in your heart, and that is lasting, right? So spirituality teaches us to find happiness that is lasting and that is satisfying. In fact, the happiness of the senses, although it appears like happiness, in your heart you are not happy. Like you may be enjoying some nice food or some nice, sensual pleasures that may be at the external level seen as happiness, but internally, you're not happy, you're not satisfied. There's something wrong, or this is not the best thing this is not the right thing that I'm supposed to do. So so the real happiness is internal. Real happiness is of the heart, not of the senses. So spirituality teaches us to focus on or aspire for the real happiness. But of course, yes, we also need some, the senses also need some degree of gratification or enjoyment. Like you need food, you need some comforts in life to be, to be peaceful, to be happy. That is given, of course, but at the same time, that should not become the priority. That should not become the objective of life. So while those things are necessary, They only have utility value, not happiness value. So you need to use those things. You need, like say, you need vehicles, you need house, you need food, you need so many other things in life. You need security, all those things. But they have utility value, but not happiness value. So yeah, we should learn to distinguish between the two.
There should be a balance.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can take another question from the audience.
So my question is very simple to you, sir. Why do I need spirituality? Why do I even need to practice spirituality? I am doing good. I am doing okay. I am working sincerely for my goals. I am not doing anything bad to many people. And I am sincerely trying to achieve my goal. Why do I even need spirituality? Why?
Very good question. Thank you. Before you understand spirituality, we need to understand what is material life and what is the fundamental characteristic of material life. Material is that which changes. The what is common in everything that is material is change. So one may think that I am materially happy, right? But that will not last. Material life is always full of ups and downs and change, right? You may be happy today. You may feel that you are happy today, but tomorrow is going to be different. Life will throw so many challenges, not only challenges, but reversals, and things can go wrong in many ways. And when things do go wrong, then you need the mental stability, the resilience, and the right attitude to face those changes, right? So what spirituality does is it makes you internally strong and develop the right attitude to face any situation in life, right? So you are peaceful in every situation. You are not elated when you get happiness, and you are not like depressed when you have sorrow in life. So you are able to have equipoised mind, or you are able to face every situation in life with internal strength, and not become disturbed, agitated, or kind of distracted by any of the external situations. So that is what spirituality does. So you need spirituality because today you may be happy, but you will not always be happy materially. And even if you think you are happy, it is not going to last. That is the reality of this world. The reality of this world is there is suffering. There is going to be suffering. Even if you think there is no suffering today, there will be suffering tomorrow. What are you going to do then? So you need to be prepared in advance. So that is why you need to have that spiritual strength within, and that gives you the right attitude, the conviction, right, and the internal strength. And also, if you find happiness within, that's what spirituality teaches us, to find happiness not just in the external situation. Oh, today I have a good job, I have a good wife or family, and I have everything going right in life, so I am happy. So spirituality teaches you that don't be happy because of these things, because those things may or may not exist, or even if they exist, they may not last. But if you find happiness internally, nobody can snatch that happiness from you. You can always be happy in any situation. That is one thing. And besides that, one of the challenges that people face is mental problems. Mental problems, depression, or relationship issues. You may have other problems like addictions, bad habits. So one stroke solution to all these problems is spirituality. By helping you become internally equipped and have the right attitude, control your mind, it gives a solution to all these problems. Yeah, so that is why we need spirituality.
So, Guruji, how to integrate spiritual wisdom within our daily lives?
Very good, thank you. To integrate the spiritual wisdom in your daily life, just as with anything, we need education, we need training, we need association of like-minded people. Any type of training, anything you want to learn in life, anything you want to imbibe in life, you need these things. You need to first learn how to do it. You need to not only theoretically but practically. That's what training means. And association of like-minded people who have similar goals, right? So therefore it's very important to take some time out, right, for this kind of education, training, and association. So you can't, become an engineer or a doctor or professional or anything for that matter, without proper training, without proper association or environment. Same thing applies to spirituality. So you can't sit at home, just read some books haphazardly and become a doctor, right? So you need to go through that rigorous training for 5 years or so. Similarly, you can't just watch some YouTube videos or read some random book here or there and become spiritual. It's helpful, of course, no doubt, but you're not going to excel in that field just by that kind of haphazard or some random picking something here and there. So you need to devote yourself. You need to accept a bona fide guru. And follow the process of spirituality as that is taught by the guru and the scriptures, and devote some time regularly and learn that art of spirituality. Yes. So take some time out. In our tradition in ISKCON, we tell people to take some time out every day to focus on God by chanting His names, by chanting the mantras or the names of God. So that is part of the process, and there are other things also, like reading spiritual books, associating with like-minded people who are also having similar goals, and also avoiding certain harmful things. So it's a process that needs to be learnt.
So coming back, Prabhuji, it's generally seen that like there's a talk of women empowerment going all over the town. So it's seen that modern women are more empowered compared to the condition of women in the ancient times or in the times described by the scriptures. So what do you feel is the actual situation?
Well, in today's age, achievements or success in life is often misunderstood as what is approved by people or what impresses people, or in other words, to impress people or to grab attention is seen as success. But you can be happy, you can be productive, successful without having to impress people. So when a woman is working, or when she is in the media, then it is seen as success. But if a woman is a homemaker, then people think, oh, she's just a homemaker. As if being a homemaker is something very lowly, right? It is not. If a woman is taking care of the family, that is no less important or no less productive than a woman who may be maybe a professional, so to speak. Of course, there's nothing wrong with being professional, but it should not be seen that if someone is not so-called professional and is a homemaker taking care of the family and kids, it is something non-progressive, or it is something is like backward. It should not be seen like that. In fact, that is equally or maybe more important. You are devoting your time and energy to take care of the family, to raise good kids, which is no less. I don't think it's in any way less important than any of the professional activities. So this mindset that nowadays, because women are doing so many other professional things, therefore now we are more progressive, and because in the Vedic culture they were more into taking care of the home, taking care of the family and such things, that is less progressive, they are not empowered, is actually, that is a sign of very immature or external vision, where you don't understand what is real progress. So you don't have to necessarily show everyone how good you are, so but at the same time there were professionals. Even in the Vedic age, there were so many great personalities, ladies, who were very successful, very knowledgeable, and that was also encouraged. Yes, the Vedas did not discriminate between male and female, when it comes to spiritual knowledge. Like as Gita says, Striyo Vaishyas Tatha Sudras. Even women or any varna, any caste, so-called caste, anyone can, have equal right to practice spirituality. Yeah. So I do not agree that just because there is the media hype of women empowerment, therefore the modern society is anyway more empowering to women than the Vedic culture. Rather, it may be more exploitative. As you see, a woman's body, right, a woman's form is actually the most exploited thing, and and the unfortunate thing is that those women think that it's okay to be exploited, and they are kind of brainwashed to think like that, and they think to be famous is the thing. You are all over the media, so you are famous, so you are successful. So that is a very wrong type of brainwashing that media is doing, and unfortunately many people fall into the trap of thinking that just being so-called famous, so-called popular is success. It is not.
It's not.
Okay, so yeah, so Vedic culture was definitely empowering and respecting women, and it is not so today, just because there is this media hype.
That was a completely different take, Prabhuji. I'm sure audience would also agree. So another thing that I wanted to ask Prabhuji is, in today's time, youth usually give more priority to their friends, so-called friends from their family. It's usually seen that their friendship is usually very fleeting in nature. So how do you think like they can develop more deep and meaningful bonds, and apart from superficial friendship that's going on, and like what's the spiritual lesson they can inculcate in their friendships?
So friendship is any relationship, whether it is friendship or family or any type of relationship, is successful when both the parties who are in that relationship benefit in the long term, right? So friendship does not mean, same thing applies to friendship. So friendship does not mean just playing, hanging around, or playing together, or just enjoying together, like that. So our friendship does not even mean I do what you like always and you do what I like. But a real friend is someone who does what is good for you, not always necessarily what you like, right? So, but if that friendship is centered around the spiritual goals of life, a real friend is someone who gives you something that is permanent, helps you achieve something that is permanent, of value, something that is good for you, not always what you like. So where some friends may hang around and drink, or watch movies, or do various sorts of things, and they may find enjoyment in that, but what they're actually doing is they're not helping each other, rather they are kind of contributing to
Their own destruction.
yeah
Yeah, each other's.
what do you say, downfall.
Hmm.
So yeah, so the real friendship is when you come together, but with a spiritual purpose, to help each other attain the ultimate permanent goal of life, permanent happiness.
So, coming to the questions, next question, Prabhuji, is in times of mental and emotional turmoil, we at times have to perform our like material obligations also, but at the same time we have to ensure that spiritual goal or spiritual values are not compromised. How can we deal in those situations?
Mental turmoil or any kind of reversals in life, at that time what you need is strength. When there is a hurricane, or when there is a cyclone or bad weather, what you need is a house which can withstand that kind of natural disturbances. So spirituality gives you that. So in times of crisis, people need a shelter. You need something to hang on to. It may be a friend, or it may be someone in life, and if there's no one, then people go to a psychiatrist, to avoid depression or to deal with such kind of mental health issues. So you need something to hang, what do you say, for support. You need something to hang on to. But spirituality gives you exactly that. It teaches you to take shelter of God, to take shelter of higher powers, right? And have faith that in any situation, God is with me. He is going to help me. So I don't have to become worried, and it also teaches you how to actually deal with situations in life. What is the right decision? What are the principles based on which you should take decisions? Right? So yeah, so a strong spiritual foundation is essential. We have seen during the independence struggle, against the British. At one point of time, the British they have withdrawn, or they have stopped the supply of food grains in Bengal. So what they did is they took all the food grains and they stored it and they did not release it. So many people died of starvation.
Oh.
Right? But you know what is surprising, what is interesting? There was not a single riot, violence, there is no case of violence or rioting or crime, right? In spite of that. But on the other hand, in the US, there was one time there was a kind of blackout. Electricity was totally cut off, all kind of communication was cut off in some part in California. And for days together, for about a week or so, there was no communication, there was no electricity, there was no supply. And there was so much crime. There was so much loot, and most of which could not even be reported, So what is the difference? In spite of this kind of, very challenging, very horrific situations, people did not give up their values. They did not decide to steal or to commit crime. Why? Because they had a strong spiritual foundation. So even such situations could not shake their spiritual values and their character and integrity. So that is what spirituality does to you.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can become shaken by even the smallest disturbance in life.
Yeah, that's generally the problem with youth. Okay, I think that answers the question. Anyone in the audience would like to have a follow-up question to Prabhuji?
Yeah, so Prabhuji, like whatever you said about spirituality, so I agree with all of the point, and it was like nice points. But what I feel is when we will practice spirituality, so we have to leave all the enjoyments. The life will not be like it was previously before. So we have to leave all our enjoyments and how we live and whatever we have, whatever we are doing in our life presently. So I agree with all of your points, but for this thing I feel a little bit hesitant to practice spirituality because I have to leave everything for it.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. It's a very nice question. Yeah, many people, I know a huge number of people actually, they are hesitant or reluctant to accept a path of spirituality only because of this. Why? Because they think if I practice spirituality, I have to change my food habits, or I have to give up my enjoyment in life. Maybe I have to, leave this or leave that and change this or change that, and I'm not comfortable doing it. So therefore they think, maybe I'm not ready for that yet. Yes, but it's based on a very big misconception. You know why? Spirituality does not teach you to leave anything. It actually teaches you to take up something positive, and by taking up something positive, a natural consequence may be that you leave something which is unhealthy. Right? To give you an example, Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, when he went to the US, it was naturally culture shock, in the US, especially there was in 1970s, there was this hippie generation, 60s and 70s. And these hippies had all sorts of bad habits, unthinkable. drugs, sex, and crime, everything. That was how they were, right? And you cannot imagine kind of someone who had worse habits, so to speak. But Prabhupada, when he met them, he did not ask them to leave this or leave that. You leave drugs, you leave this, he gave them a positive alternative, right? He gave them the names of God, the process of bhakti, where even they were interested in music, like many of them. At that time music was the thing. So he helped them. He told them that you can use music in spirituality to progress spiritually, right? So that they liked. So since they were into music, they used that music to praise God. And he did not tell them you leave this or you leave that. But as they started practicing, they started realizing that these habits were unhealthy. So spirituality does not force you to leave anything, it actually makes you mature enough to take a decision to leave those things which are unhealthy. So you don't have to be afraid that if I practice, that if I practice this, then I have to leave that, I have to leave that. You don't have to leave anything. You will naturally leave. When you understand, when you realize that this is not healthy for me. And until then in ISKCON we don't tell people you leave this, then only you can come to ISKCON. We say you come, you practice, you read, you hear, you participate in our programs. And when they do that, they give up on their own. So you don't have to be afraid that I have to give up this, you don't have to give up anything. But when you practice, it may happen on your own, and you should not have any apprehension that if I leave anything on my own, is that also a problem? It will not be a problem when you take the decision on your own to leave something. The problem is if someone forces you to leave it, right? So since that is not going to happen, at least I know, in my own experience within ISKCON, I have seen, the preachers don't tell you to leave anything. It happens naturally as a consequence later on. When you realize, this is such a nice healthy life, why should I, waste my time, energy, and spoil my consciousness and health by getting into these negative things? So there's no need to be afraid. So no need to be hesitant. Just be confident.
Anyone in the audience would like to ask a question?
So sir, my question is regarding veganism. It is town of the talk nowadays that we should be more merciful towards animals, and hence we follow veganism. So what is your view on that?
Okay, very interesting question. Veganism claims to be compassionate to the animals, right, by not exploiting them. But there is a fundamental flaw there, not in the idea of not wanting to exploit the animals, but in the understanding of how this, the creation is designed, right? Animals and humans are designed to coexist. They are made for each other, basically, right? So many of these veganists, they think, or they wrongly assume that this, according to this theory of Darwin, Charles Darwin, of evolution, that the cattle, they are designed to evolve on their own, or every species for that matter is designed to evolve on their own. But actually the Vedic culture teaches that every species is meant to coexist along with humans. So the point is, cows or cattle, they are made to coexist with humans. So there is a relationship, there is a ever existing relationship between humans and animals, including the cows. So the cows provide milk. They provide more milk than what the calves or the calf requires. And whatever extra, whatever the calf doesn't require, that is taken by the humans. And the humans in return, they give protection and care for the cows. So that is the design by the creator. But veganism ignores this fact. They think that taking milk from the cows is a crime. It is not, because they don't take the factor of the creator and the creation and the design of the creator into consideration. So it is not a crime to take the milk from the cow, because the cow is giving more milk than what the calf requires, and it is by design, so that extra milk is taken by the humans, and the humans in return, they offer protection. So that is, definitely it is true that we should not be cruel to the animals. So vegetarianism, also, especially the Vedic version of vegetarianism, also teaches that we should not be cruel to the animals. We don't kill the cows even after they stop giving milk, right? We take care of the cows for their entire life, the cows and the bulls, or any species for that matter. So therefore, yes, veganism is also, although it has a good aspect that they want to be compassionate to the animals, but they, because of their kind of atheistic kind of outlook, where they don't acknowledge the design of God, therefore it is not a bona fide, or not approved by the Vedic culture. Rather, the Vedic culture says that you take milk and milk products from the cattle, and also in return you offer them protection, and in this way there is a healthy and very productive relationship between the humans and the animals, right? Other animals also contribute. Horses contribute, dogs, all sorts of animals, they have their particular role in which they serve the humans and the humans serve them in return. So that is the Vedic model of compassion and care for the animals.
I think that answers your question. So coming back, Prabhuji, people usually think that spiritualists are unambitious and they don't have achieved anything great in their life, and that's why many people are hesitant to approach spirituality, because they think that they'll also develop this let go attitude and they'll also become unambitious in their lives. So as a practicing spiritualist, what's your take on this kind of mentality?
Ambition is seen as generally, what people understand as being ambitious is actually born out of some sort of desire to impress someone, or some sort of insecurity, right? You want to be famous, you want to amass a lot of wealth and success, because otherwise you feel insecure without it. You feel that if I don't have too much money or a lot of money, then how am I going to live? So it's an insecurity. And if I don't achieve this in life, if I don't become a CEO, or if I don't get this post, how am I going to live? So it's an insecurity, right? And or there may be a desire to impress someone. I want to be famous, I want to be acknowledged, respected, reputed, this and that, right? So ambition that is driven by a desire to impress, or out of some kind of insecurity, is an unhealthy type of ambition, and that is what the spiritualists give up. But it is not that the spiritualists are not ambitious. They are ambitious without having the desire, or without the desire to impress, or without the insecurity. I am ambitious for something, to achieve something which I don't have to show everyone, and it is not born of some insecurity, right? So spiritualists are ambitious, but only because they are not hankering to impress. Therefore, people misunderstand that they are not ambitious. Yes, spiritualists are also ambitious in their own way, in a healthy way, rather. So we have goals in life. We want to do something. Spiritualists' ambitions are like selfless service. They are ambitious to serve. They are ambitious to contribute. They are ambitious to do something positive for the society in an unselfish manner. And being unselfish is not unambitious, right? Spiritualists are unselfish, but they are not non-ambitious. They want to definitely contribute, and they work extra hard, to do that. Like all the great spiritualists, it's not that they were just recluse and they didn't care for the society, they were on their own. No. They contributed positively. They worked hard.
Correct.
But it was not out of a desire to impress or out of some insecurity, but rather to bring some positive change for people in general, for the society in general, right? And for the future generations. So that is the kind of ambitiousness that spiritualism gives.
I think this thwarts the idea of spiritualism being unambitious. So moving ahead, another question that we have for you, Prabhuji, is historically it's seen that religion is the cause behind many wars and battles that has happened over the recorded human history. And do you think religion is the cause of hate that is spread in the society?
Yeah, very interesting question. Religion is very powerful. Why? Because it goes very deep into your being, your consciousness, right? So religion is very, very powerful. And anything that is powerful can be misused, especially when it loses its essence and when it is stuck by the externals, right? And so that's where fanaticism. So a fanatic, a religious fanatic is someone who practices his religion in an external way. He's obsessed, or he's stuck with the symbols or the symbolism of spirituality, rather than going into the essence or the principles, the teachings. They're just stuck into the external forms, right? So the religion, when it loses its essence, when it loses the purpose, right, and the core principles, and it becomes external, it becomes an external form or ritual, then yes, it can cause fanaticism, and that is the cause of all these problems. But when you practice religion not just externally, but by delving deep into the principles and the core values or the teachings, not in an external way, but core values like love, compassion, prayer, duty mindedness, tolerance, such values which are actually the essence, which are the core of every spiritual path, when they are focused on, when they are, when someone tries to imbibe them, then it does not lead to fanaticism, it leads to brotherhood, it leads to respect, and harmony, right? But when it loses its essence, so therefore the spiritualists who are on the path should always preach the essence rather than just the external symbols or external symbolism, the rituals, the external practices.
So it's the true religion which spreads love, and the external religion which is causing all the war.
Not the external,
But the superficial practice of the religion, so to speak.
without
Without the essence.
without getting into the essence. If you are just stuck with the externals, and then you become a victim of hate, or all the negative emotions, hatred, pride, anger, jealousy, all these things come, but whereas the essence of every spiritual path is to overcome these, and rather to develop love and compassion and respect, right? So when those core values are missing, that's where the problem comes.
That answers my question. Another thing, Prabhuji, that I wanted to ask in the current
By the way, there is no problem, there is nothing wrong in following the externals. Like say, in our own path, like I'm wearing this tilak, alright, I have certain dress code which I'm wearing. It's not wrong. The externals are required, they are helpful to help you to, put your focus on what is of essence, of value. So externals are not bad. But the problem comes when, that becomes the only thing, without getting into the essence.
So that was a very beautiful explanation, Prabhuji. Another thing that I wanted to ask was, usually in the colleges these days, young students get into intimate relationships before the marriages. So do you think, is it healthy to get into very serious intimate relationships before marriage, and what kind of troubles it can get into?
Okay, when you mean intimate relationship, you are talking about physical relationship, right?
Sorry to interrupt, Prabhuji. Intimate and as well as emotional attachments the students develop with the opposite genders.
Yeah.
So both of them.
Physical and emotional, right? Yeah, so this becomes like a kind of very popular nowadays, casual sex or live-in relationships, and also, people start to think, like maybe a few decades ago, people used to see you as something, wrong if you are like talking intimately with, the opposite gender. But now people see you as something is wrong with you if you don't have a girlfriend or if you don't, or a boyfriend like that. So, so the thing that is missing here is that people don't understand that relationship is not about just physical gratification or even emotional satisfaction. Relationship is about developing a deep bond, right? And when that deep bond is from the heart and from your spiritual being, then that fully satisfies the heart of both the parties. But if it is without that, and if it is just that, okay, I want enjoyment from you and you want enjoyment from me, so let us have that trade-off. So then what happens is you are left with a very shallow heart. Your heart is missing something. You feel vacant, right? खोखलापन महसूस होता है भैया. You feel that this relationship is only external. It's something like a kind of a business deal. आप मेरे को पैसे दो, मैं आपको कैसे. And Prabhupada used to call it as, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. So I can't scratch my back, so you scratch my back and I will scratch your back. So that is the deal, right? So that kind of relationship does not satisfy you, and it leaves you empty. And therefore, when you are empty within, then you become frustrated. And once you get into that, right? I know people who get into that and they regret it for their whole life. See, once you lose your character, or once you lose your chastity or purity, then whomever you may be living with for your whole life, you have not been faithful, you have not been loyal to that person. And that leaves you a guilt which will last forever in your life. And is that the kind of life you want to live? Or you want to live a life where you are happy within, that I have been responsible partner, right? So to have that heart satisfaction, we should have, we should value, chastity, loyalty to one partner, right? So for that, yes, that is what the Vedic culture teaches. But when you have that loyalty, when you have that fidelity, what happens is you feel real happiness, not just the external physical pleasure, but you find happiness in that relationship, and you can give that kind of happiness to the other person, and there is peace and there is harmony in that family, in that relationship, right? So that is why the Vedic culture teaches us. It's not just about restricting, no, don't do this, don't do that. It is about, don't destroy yourself by, don't destroy your life by, getting into something which you will regret, or which you will feel guilty about for your whole life. Because certain things when you lose, it's very difficult to get it back, and difficult to even forgive yourself, right? So therefore a good culture is a culture which protects you from such kind of unfortunate situations. So that's why Vedic culture is so glorious. Why? Because it is a culture where people are protected from such kind of things, where the culture supports you, to become chaste and loyal, and that way be happy, and that way everyone is happy. And a culture which does not value those things is a culture which, in which no one is happy. You look at the Western countries. Are they happy? I heard a joke. A wife was telling her husband, just see how your children and my children are playing with our children. Right? So you think is it a happy life? I don't think so. And many broken families, single parents, and what kind of life the children are getting?
Uncivilized, like catching.
Yeah. So Vedic culture is a culture that protects you, right? So So therefore, yeah, we should learn to value that.
I think this answer would be agreeable to all of the youngsters who are watching us, and that was a very great lesson that I think they can imbibe in their lives. So, concluding with the final question that we have for you, Prabhuji. So our question is: in the modern days, youths are getting into a lot of intoxication and addictions, just like you said about the hippies. That kind of culture is groping in the Indian scenario. How do you think youths and society should deal with this, and how can we overcome with this situation?
Especially talking about addictions.
Addictions, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it is true that nowadays the addictions are growing unlike never before. And addictions are not about only with substance abuse. There are different types of addictions. Maybe sex addiction, maybe drug addiction, substance abuse, and one common addiction that almost everyone has is technology addiction, right? Is also an addiction. So, as I said, technology is a good servant but a bad master. It is useful as long as you can control it. You don't become a slave of it, right? And same thing applies to anything else, So, yeah, addiction is like a time bomb. Not a time bomb, I would say a heat sensitive bomb. Like say there is some bomb that is attached to you, and it can blow off any time, right? And only if the temperature increases, it can blast at any time. So how are you going to live? You are always in great anxiety. How am I going to live? So that addiction is like that. So any time, because once you are addicted to something, that craving pulls you. Like you may, I know people who have left, drinking alcohol for years. But again, suddenly one day, again they are just victimized by that old habit, and they go back to it, and then again they are miserable, and they kind of lose hope that whether we can ever give it up, right? So it's like that bomb which can explode at any time. It's within you. That kind of that taste for that evil thing is within you, and how are you going to deal with it? Yeah. So what spirituality does is it gives you the antiseptic or the medicine that can that acts against that, or you can compare it like a temperature control system. Like if there is a air conditioning that is always working, then you are less worried about that time bomb, that bomb going off. So what basically this spirituality does is it actually gives you a protective layer, protective environment, right, where you are less bothered by those pullings of those bad habits or those addictions. So you get the higher taste, as Srila Prabhupada used to say, higher taste. When you have a higher taste, it's easier to give up the lower taste. Like I was talking about these hippies who had all these addictions, but when they started to become addicted to bhakti, then it was easier. It was quite easy for them to give up all those things, and even not only give up once, but give up forever, for life. As long as they stayed in that process, on that path of bhakti. So, of course, it remains with you for your whole life. But if you practice the process of bhakti or spirituality consistently, then it also gives you consistent protection. So this process of spirituality, how it protects you? First of all, it offers you a higher taste. Especially when you do it with your heart, you get that higher taste. But if you do it externally and you don't follow the process properly, you may not get the taste, and you may still fall back to that addiction, right? And any addiction, why it is addictive? Because it gives you some taste. It gives you some enjoyment, right? You take some pleasure in it, and it's that pleasure that pulls you, right? So spirituality, when you do it with your heart, it gives you that pleasure, when you do it with full attention and focus and mindfulness, then you derive that pleasure, and that's what protects you from
New cravings,
this,
desires.
yeah, so that's the actual only way. Like the American government, it approached ISKCON leaders, Prabhupada, saying that we are spending millions of dollars to de-addict this generation, and without spending anything, you have changed so many thousands of people. You have de-addicted them. How did you do it? And Prabhupada said, it's my secret formula. So you open centers all over America, and we will de-addict. Let's have a deal like that. So yeah, so spirituality gives you the higher taste.
That explains the importance of spirituality. So with this project, I think we have covered almost all the topics and social dilemmas that people had with the spirituality. Thank you so much for answering our questions and solving all the doubts. I think all of us can include all the values that Prabhuji has explained to us in different situations that we discussed. So thank you everyone for listening us, and thank you so much Prabhuji for answering all the questions.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.